Welcome back to the Walking Title podcast. We're on
Did you
episode
say
one.
walking?
No, I didn't. What?
You did.
No, all right, shut up. All right, I'll
You
start
said it
again.
wrong.
Stop throwing him off his game, bro.
Okay, listen. I'm trying to
Okay,
put
go
my
again. Go
best,
again.
Mom. Leave me alone.
Do it again.
Welcome back to the Walking Title podcast. The perfect thing to listen to while you're walking.
That's a
True.
good
Don't
podcast
run.
to listen to by walking, as my mother
Yeah,
said.
we are sponsored by Walking itself. They contacted us and said that hey, we need something to accompany the movement that we fucking provide. So yeah, we're on episode 1, which is very exciting. We had a little go at just a little pilot thing to see whether this is something we enjoyed doing, and it was a bit of fun. So we're back again for some reason.
Did very
Um,
well.
Back.
And
Back.
we've just thought if no one else enjoys it, at least we can talk as much as we want about whatever we want,
Facts.
and we can feel big about ourselves by posting it on the internet.
I mean, we already are quite big. I mean, I've been getting emails from the likes of Wilbur Sutton. I've been saying, listen, shut the fuck up. You're not allowed on.
Yeah, that's actually how we got our first sponsor, Walking. Christopher Walken actually messaged me and said, I am the creator of Walking.
Christopher
so...
Walking, CEO of Walking,
CEO of Walking, son of John Runn,
came to us
yes,
with You
his
saying
sister
running
Jessica
came before
Handstand.
walking? Yo, you're saying running came before walking?
Where do you think you got to run before you can walk came from?
He does have a point.
Fucking guy right here. Aren't you a fucking word student at fucking College of Words?
I graduated because I worded so efficiently.
Oh,
But-
fucking there you go. Well, you're really not living up to it. What's your
He
degree?
did spit
Fucking
bars.
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 But no, I was actually thinking of doing a little thing on our Twitter where I just post various shit posts relating to PewDiePie and tagging him in each and every single one of them until he comes on. I'll do one a day until he agrees to come on.
Implies I never relinquish control.
Well, I just think I mean, Cool Cat got his attention. You know, Cool Cat.
Yeah.
They managed to fucking at
Well,
least get.
we're not quite on his level.
Okay, we're not quite Cool Cat, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to think that we're probably better to collab with.
Above average attitude hamsters, probably where we're at.
Do you think
If
that
I had to
exists?
rank.
hate
Above average attitude hamster
Yeah.
at this stage, yeah, because I just said it.
I mean, you said it with such like confidence. I just assumed it was a thing. Can you
Clearly,
imagine? What would they
well,
do?
you didn't have a childhood if you didn't watch Above Average Attitude Hamster.
Fuck off! I was too old for Cool Cat, man.
It would just be like someone being like, "Who wants to do something?" And then the hamster just goes, "I would," and everyone kind of gives a kind of a surprised look because the hamster's usually not that into things, and everyone, it's it's a nice show of positivity and enthusiasm.
I want to buy a gun. What do you think about that? Well, kids, I think guns are okay in some circumstances.
You really put a political spin on this that I quite wasn't ready to handle. I was
Cool
like,
Cat would
"Oh,
say,
great."
Gun control is very important. I say it's okay. I'm not that interested.
You've taken something I love and made it Republican.
Well, Cool Cat is Republican. He posts about the fake news all the time.
Oh God.
Do
Fake cat news in the world of cats.
Have you not seen his Twitter, man? It's just
No.
him like atting like various reporters and calling saying like "bite me, cunt." It's great. Just with the fucking Cool Cat face on him, just going, "Kids, this is not cool." It's like my favorite thing. I'm so fascinated by Cool Cat.
Cool
in,
cat
like,
pickets.
just like every way possible. Like it's the whole story just excites me. Like the guy who is behind it all, like he used to be like a model or some shit. He used to do like pin-ups for this magazine called like Singles or something, which is kind of funny.
Link in the description.
Link in the description if you want to check it out.
Yes. Send that link
Here's
to
my
me right now.
10% off code for subscription service. But I just fucking find it funny. We should do a spin-off. I mean, there was that Jewish spin-off, 5-ish. which is like, do you know about Five-ish?
No, I have no
He's
clue
literally a bundle of dollar bills. He's called Five-ish, and he speaks to these Jewish kids, and he like teaches them values of like how to handle money and shit.
Our homes are like our own little worlds. And when we invite guests to stay with us, and we take care of them, we are copying the ways of Hashem.
It's like I'd like do a few lines to demonstrate, but I'm really scared about getting fucking blasted because it's really fucking racist.
Yeah, we're not allowed to have bleeding. We're not even allowed to even advertise these.
It's great, like, but yeah, I just think we should do our own one or something.
I mean, we could always do spin-off stuff. I don't necessarily think we should teach children.
What would be your target audience?
The spin-off of the Working Title podcast, just a podcast with a name.
I don't know. I mean, there's about 1.2k people that really like Fallout, so maybe just Fallout fans.
No, this is the point where you branch off and you make a mascot. we need a mascot.
Vinny Slackjaw.
Is Vinny gonna be on mascot?
Vinny Slackjaw.
Vinny Slackjaw.
Vinny's busy, man.
Future will put up Vinny Slackjaw real quick. Look at that guy right there. What a beautiful dude.
Yeah,
Wow.
Whoa, Vinny, stop!
Whoa, Vinny, go down! What are you doing with that cat? Future was sitting there going,
yeah, Future was getting
man, I'm gonna have to learn quick animation very, very fast. Jesus.
Whoa, 3D model of Vinny Slackjaw, get out of here.
One that cost Will upwards of $600 to commission.
Oh my god, VTuber Vinny Slackjaw, get out of here. That's gonna be your VTuber persona.
Stop plugging your stream. I thought I had this really cute idea that we could we could all get VTuber riggings, but they could just be based on the shitty little Photoshop drawings I drew.
So it's just stick figures.
Horribly cursed.
That'd be amazing. I think it's definitely a brand that no one's really tapped into yet.
What, stick figures?
Stick figure VTubers.
Stick figures? Can that happen?
I mean, anything could happen with VTubers.
Most VTuber things have to be like vaguely people shaped.
I mean, it has to be vaguely proportional, but if you're just doing like shoulders up, and you just have like the curves of the fucking blobbed torsos I made.
I'm gonna do some like Project Melody type stuff for the stick figure. Link in description.
I'm gonna pay an extra fucking fee to see
stick figure feet OnlyFans.
Stick figure feet. That's a brand.
What would?
It's just a stick, lad. It's just a line.
I'm trying to imagine what that even would be.
Sometimes just the idea of something being hidden behind a paywall intrigues people. They have to see it. They need to know what it is.
You know what we should do? What would be a fun idea? You know the way they can do like premieres on YouTube? We should do a premiere for a fucking like podcast episode.
I considered it, but then I was like, what's the point? Because it was our first episode, and I was like, who's gonna watch the premiere?
I think at this
other
stage,
than me,
it would be an interesting experiment.
What, to see if anyone actually
to see if anyone tunes in.
I mean,
it depends how many people got like notifs on and shit.
Yeah. Depends how long you set the premiere for. Set it for 3 days in advance. Give yourself a deadline.
Yeah, because there's like meme channels that have like 3-second memes, and they like start premieres for them. And that's my idea of hell, just sitting in a premiere room for like ages and then missing it because I've like gone to the toilet or something.
That would be rough. Alright. Bro, what are our topics?
Oh, what are our topics? Right, let me pull up the topics for today. Yeah,
because
we're probably about like what 10 minutes in and we haven't even told anyone the topics yet. Right, so we have 3 topics as usual. We've got games, which is like, you know, pretty simple. Upcoming titles and titles that we want to see at E3. And then second up, we have our own weird pet peeves. And then finally, my favourite part, I I would say, is the paranormal.
The paranormal.
The
The entirety of
paranormal.
ghosts.
Just all of it.
Just
Unless you watch
ghosts.
the show.
Yeah, no, actually, it's Paranormal Activity. We're reviewing the movies.
I've never watched those movies. They scare me.
Did you know? But I told you last week that we're gonna go watch all of them, and then we're gonna do like a fucking caravan of garbage type.
Does no one read the emails?
I put it on the calendar.
Set it round on the fax. I was hoping you'd all get it.
I put it on the Microsoft Teams.
I sent my Morse code over. Did you not get the card?
My carrier pigeon got eaten.
Poor guy. I love all those stories, like carrier pigeons and like World War
World War
and the
II,
shit-
or
the shit
yeah.
they go through.
Isn't
the
there
dogs
one
as
that got
well.
a medal?
Yeah.
I swear
Yeah,
there was one that got a medal. Yeah.
Just weighing him down, the poor thing. I mean, his man's got his leg blown off.
Yeah, I
and
mean,
trying to
he's
put a
not
hunk
only
of-
is he carrying an M1 Garand, he also wants to carry a medal.
he's got his fucking Tommy helmet on. He's like, Sergeant Pigeons.
Can't wait for that fucking custom character on Battlefield 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, the elite character.
When are
Carrier
the new elites
pigeon.
coming out?
Didn't they train them to drop grenades?
Is that a thing?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a
I
thing.
feel like you've just made that up. I'm gonna
No, I think they did. They trained birds to drop grenades on people.
Veterans.
Future Will, can you pull up a source for it?
Hey, gamers! Oh, Future Will here. Now, unfortunately, I come as the bearer of... Well, it's bad news, really, all around. This isn't even about the future. I mean, all the flying cars, the apocalypse, the drones, that can all wait, you know. That's for me to know. But on the subject of pigeons, I actually looked into it, as I've been talking about with the boys here, as on the podcast, as you're probably watching, hopefully. Or you just skip to this bit, which is really weird. But I found out that, although, as Charlie goes on to say in any second now, I just hit something. You'll hear them talk about Project Pigeon, which is true, and it did happen. And I've spent way too much time looking into how it works and why it works and the conditioning that they use on these birds to actually make the pigeons drop the bombs and so on. It's actually really detailed and in-depth the more you dig. It's crazy. I don't know why I'm still looking at this. Please help me. But sadly, it never actually took off. Pun. But the project was discontinued long before it saw action. I think America spent like 30,000 into the project before they realised that there were probably more efficient ways to kill another human being than a pigeon carrying a Semtex. Though animals are still very much involved in warfare, even to this day, as early as like 2015. I mean, the Iraqi government were training kamikaze dolphins to sink submarines. You had Afghanistan and their long history of strapping bombs to donkeys. And then even very recently, you had instances between India and Pakistan where they were accusing each other of using spy pigeons. I mean, the animal kingdom really gets up to some shit.
Can you imagine just like veterans of the war walking down the street and a bird fucking poos on their shoulder and they just scream, "Get down!"
Yeah, during World War II, Project Pigeon
Yes, Project Pigeon.
was
Love it.
American behaviorist B. Skinner's attempt to develop a pigeon-controlled guided bomb.
What the fuck?
Pigeon control.
War pigeon.
PCGV.
Bat
Wait,
bomb. Anti-tank dog.
Anti-tank dog.
Wait, what the fuck?
A man's worst nightmare. Anti-tank dog.
It's just a thing with a fucking boob stick on.
Anti-tank
Strapped to its
dog?
back.
God. Can you imagine a dog just running at you with fucking Semtex between his jaws?
Be the last thing you ever see.
Imagine trying to fight one of those, man. Fuck.
A bat bomb.
What?
Not to be confused with a bath bomb.
What is a bat bomb?
One
Is
you
it
want in
a
your bath.
bomb with a bat? Or
Bat bombs were experimental World War II weapon developed by the US. The bomb consisted of a bomb-shaped casting. Oh wait, there's no bats involved?
Wait, that's shit.
Well,
Nah,
that's
they
just
fucked
not
that.
fun.
I
There's
thought
no
it was
bat,
going. I
what's
thought
the
it was going to be
point?
like a pigeon.
I thought it was gonna be like, you know, in the Dark Knight when he like summons all the bats with sonar. I thought it was gonna be like that, but they all have like fucking grenades.
Each
Each and every one of them has a 1911.
fuck.
Right,
These
do you
pigeons are
want
the
to get
last
along
one
to
you see.
the first topic then?
All right, I already have a game I'm looking
The
forward to.
thing is, I've actually like been looking through the games and that are coming out recently, and some of them I'm excited for, but also, or like I appreciate will probably be good games, but they're not stuff that I am personally gonna get around to. I mean, there's stuff like Skyward Sword,
Hmm.
like
Is that getting re-released?
well, yes, like HD, um,
Oh,
but it's like I don't own a Switch or anything,
yeah, I
so
wish I did.
the No More
Yeah,
Heroes 3.
honestly.
Did you guys ever play the No More Heroes games?
No
Does that dude have like a
heroes.
laser katana?
Yeah, it was the Wii game where you went around you fucking killing all the heroes, and you were the dude on the bike with the leather jacket, and you just had a
Right, I
fucking
know what you're
sword.
talking about, but I never played them.
Those were good games, but there's a third one coming out. I know that. It's like
That's
a Wii game, and you just fucking threw your arm around.
she's covering killing people.
I mean, that's the plot of most games.
As
True.
games, yeah. Let's see. So, I just looked up something right now. So, let's see, new games coming out in April. Got a ton of games. Borderlands 3 Director's Cut.
Director's cut.
Yeah, even though we haven't finished the original,
Maybe we should get on that.
we really should. Near Replicant. I don't know what Near Replicant is. Is it
Sounds like a Blade Runner
Well,
thing.
No,
is it
it's
is
Nier.
it the remastered version? Is that what that is?
No, there's Nier. You have Nier, and you have
Yeah.
Nier Automata, and then you have Nier Replicant.
Oh, the white chick. The chick with white hair.
Yeah, 2B. Absolute
Yeah,
babe.
yeah.
Or not to be.
That is
That
not a
is a
question.
question.
Shut your fucking mouth.
Then there's the dude that no one really cares about.
There was that game that Maya the Harpy, I should say, was playing the other day. Knockout City. That was a release. That was a very
Knockout
recent
City?
release.
Yeah, it's
Is
about
it released?
dodgeball.
I thought it was in beta.
No, I think it was actually it was in early access or whatever.
Yeah, something like that. It looked. I remember last time, I think it was the last E3 maybe that they showed some gameplay, and it looks interesting.
It's a game entirely based around dodgeball.
I mean, I have watched the movie Dodgeball countless times during lockdown.
You can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball.
Knockout City comes out May 21st on PC, PS4, Xbox One, and Switch. According
There's
to
no
this
like
website.
big games, like all the really big, like The Last of Us 2 and shit. It's like 30 passes by.
Well, you
I don't
see
think there's any
that
big games getting
Resident Evil
released.
Village comes out next in May.
Oh,
May
I mean,
7th.
you're not gonna get many AAAs around this sort of time because all the ones that came out in 2020 were ones that were pretty heavily already into production.
Yeah, that's true. What else comes out in May? Resident Evil Village, Mass Effect Legendary Edition is something I'm looking forward to personally.
I have something I'm looking forward to, but I know no one out of the people in this room or anyone potentially listening will ever care about.
Right,
So
go
I
on.
want to. Well, okay, so I love the Dynasty Warriors series. That's just like my thing,
Hmm.
and I've always been a massive fan of them. But the only major release recently was DW9, which by all accounts was awful. They tried to take the genre and turn it into an open world because, you know, it was around the time, it was like 2018, 2017 when open worlds were like dominating. And so they're like, hey, let's turn this into an open world. And it was just awful. Like, it was just really bad. And it was just really sad watching all these people come into Dynasty Warriors for the first time and playing this game and being like, I don't get the hype,
Yeah.
like, at all.
I played a Dynasty Warriors game.
I used to love that shit, man. And that's what made me so hooked on Total War 3 Kingdoms, because I already knew all the lore and shit. And it's just a chance to like experience that kind of universe in a different way. But they, the way the series works is that they release a new game. So, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And they're based around the general story, because it's all based around the book Romance of the Three Kingdoms, which is like a kind of historical novel, but it's like, you know, embellished with fiction to make it kind of more exciting, if you like. But the problem is it's the only like historical account of that period, so people
Yeah.
are like, people kind of treat it as fact at the same time. It's weird. Anyway, point is, you have a game that's based around that plot, and then each game always has 2 spin-off games. So one's called Extreme Legends, which mainly focuses around particular characters and their stories that usually aren't explored as much. And that's also games that are more about just like fucking killing everything in your path. And then you have one called Empires, which is kind of like a more strategy one, which is more about like you playing as a faction in that universe and kind of expanding out. Anyway, point is, I'm getting to is that there's an Empires one that's set to be released this year, I believe. And it's the first game that's come out in this series in a really long time. So I'm excited. At the same time, I don't know what to expect of it, considering the last release, and it will be on the same engine, and it will be with the same like kind of setting and everything. So it could be really bad, but I'm looking forward to it. And I know I'll put hours into it, even if it turns out to be really bad, which is kind of sad. I'll be there going, this shit, while I get like 30 plus on it. Because I'm just like that.
I honest to God haven't been excited for a game since Miles Morales. I haven't been like, I can't think of a game I was like, yeah, I'm gonna buy that when that comes out.
I'm kind of the same, honestly. There's nothing that's really.
I hate to bring up dead topics, but I'd be lying if I said I wasn't super hyped for Cyberpunk.
Yeah, Cyberpunk was another one. I still haven't gotten around to playing it, like not playing it, like finishing it, because I'm just so engaged in like the side quests and stuff.
I just remember the pain of the fucking opening day, but I remember more importantly because I don't need to tell the story of what happened because I'm sure everyone can guess, but like the build up to it, like watching the counter go down. And because it was late at night, I can't remember when it got released, but it was late, and everything was dark, and I just had the only thing illuminating my room was like the yellow of the screen on like Cyberpunk, and it was just, and the music kicked in, and it was so badass. I just remember there sitting there, just being like, "This is big, this is awesome."
It's been
of course,
up, it was hyped up for so long, which is just like,
well, because I mean, I knew deep in me that like it wasn't going to live up to the billing. Even then, when I had no reason to think that anything was going to be wrong, like I was just like, it's not going to be what everyone says it's going to be. But it's CD Projekt Red. It's going to be a good.
see, I had like less of an issue with like everyone. I read everyone's stories and like, oh, my game crashes. Oh, every time I try to do this, I can't do this, this, and this. And I'm like, I've not had a single major issue to the point where I just don't play the game. I just don't play it anymore because I have other things I want to play.
See, I don't. I've never been someone who hates games for the sake of it. And in fact, even though I had so many problems with Cyberpunk and still do, I mean, my main save that's 60 plus hours has got corrupted, and I haven't picked up again since because.
Yeah, I remember that.
I just haven't touched the game since. But like, what I found so infuriating with the whole experience was that every time there was a problem and I had to like restart or I had to close it and everything, I was so angry about it because it was such a good game. And I felt like I was getting cucked out of playing what should have been a really good experience.
Yeah.
I wasn't angry that it was bad. I was angry that, like, it felt like everything in its power was trying to stop me from playing this game. So, funnily enough, even though I'm really angry with how it turned out, and I feel like my experience of the game was soured by everything, and I can't defend the fact that it is a fucking buggy mess, my opinion of the game itself is not actually bad, and I actually really rate it as a game. And I would say that it is one of the best games I've played in a while.
Now compare that to, I think the only game to this date I've ever pre-ordered was fucking Red Dead 2, which I think pretty much lived up to every expectation it had.
My experience I pre-ordered Red Dead as well. It's one of the few games I've pre-ordered. My experience of the opening day wasn't great, but that wasn't the game's fault. But I always miss, like, that first impression you get of a game is always so key. and it's always so big. Like Ghost of Tsushima, Last of Us 2, any game that you play, like the opening few minutes when you're just playing on your own, like that's kind of like that's the moment where you decide whether you're gonna like this game or not. And I didn't actually get that with Red Dead 2 because I had friends around and I couldn't play it, and I was really sad.
Honestly, the game lived up to the hype, but then the multiplayer just sort of let it down, honestly.
Really, you think Red Dead Online has let the game down?
The
Well,
online
nowadays,
release, the online release was pretty shitty.
Honestly, like these days, I don't see myself playing the multiplayer as often unless people are there to go, do you want to play?
Well, we've done pretty much everything, but I still have great affection for the first few times. Like I'm pretty sure that was like when me and Will's friendship first got solidified was when the initial stages of playing Red Dead Online together. Because it was just such starting at the very bottom of the fucking.
I genuinely think I preferred that feeling that you had when you first started playing Red Dead Online, that you were literally nothing in the grand scheme of things. Like grinding to get $200 to form a posse in the opening
Yeah.
few days of the beta was actually like, I felt so cool.
Getting gold to afford a duster was like the one thing I wanted.
I think
Like,
with
I
those
love
games,
the game.
yeah.
I think we all really love the game, and it's one of those games that we've played countless hours together. But at the same time, I think at some point obviously there has to be a bit more.
I think the recent release to Steam and the standalone was a step in the right direction, but then they needed to follow it up with a big update, and they didn't. Because if you think about it, the story that we were given 2 or 3 years ago, whenever online released, has yet to actually be expanded upon at all.
Yeah, exactly.
We've got other stories that introduce other side plots and things, but we've had no further development of anything. And it's weird because I was speaking to a friend who I first played GTA 5 with ages ago when that first released, and we were both saying that the state of Red Dead Online when it first released was considerably better than GTA Online when that first
Definitely.
released.
Like, I can remember when I first played it. I remember when I first played it because I couldn't actually get into the online for like 5 hours
It was honestly a mess.
because the online just wouldn't load. I think it was. I don't remember I think it was probably server issues.
Now, I don't want to dog on it too much because there's a lot of rumors. Sorry, I was going to fucking burp, man. There are a lot of rumors about what is due for Red Dead Online this year. Like, there's talk of property updates. There's talk of heists. They won't be called heists. There was a name said for it, but it's temporarily left me. And they apparently there's a lot of stuff in the pipe works. But my only point was that I was going to make was that GTA just dwarfs Red Dead, not because of the game itself. Like Red Dead has so much more potential, but it just hasn't received the backing.
I think the important thing to note is that they could leave the online for a year, like they pretty much have, and they could come in with a single update, and we would come scurrying back like the rats we are to play it.
Well, yeah, that's just because I want to.
They
play
have
the
that
game.
power over us.
In some ways, I hate that though, because every update that comes out, it guarantees bugs, it guarantees things will go wrong, and it guarantees that things that we've already had that weren't problems before suddenly become problems.
Yeah.
And it's like every time a Reddit update comes out, somehow I'm very excited and very happy, but my actual want to play the game kind of slides down, because you also know that with that all the shit kids will come back to the game, all the people that abuse the other Deadeye cards that just, in my opinion, ruin the experience of the game. And yeah, it's just like,
So yeah, well, I guess the verdict is the online is flawed but beautiful, and the story mode is masterful.
I mean, it's, even though I feel like I've been showering it with criticism for the past 5-10 minutes or whatever, it is still
5 years nearly.
Shut up.
Is it? It's been 5 years.
Did I say years? I meant minutes.
No, I
did
said years.
Okay, I was gonna.
I'm gaslighting you now.
Jesus, what the fuck's happening? I mean,
I'm a master manipulator.
but like, I can say that because I love the game.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a great game.
I mean, I
The
still haven't
stories-
finished the single player. So.
Yeah,
Me
that's
too.
so annoying.
It's so annoying because I go on and I'm like, yeah, finally this will be the day, and then I do all the fucking side missions in the world and forget to do the main story.
Yeah,
I
I
do
just
the side missions later.
I did all the side missions to like up to like chapter 5 or something, and then I just realized that because I was doing like one actual mission at a time, like each playthrough, and then one day I just sat down and went fuck it, and I just breezed the rest of the story. But I'm not going to criticize you too harshly because I've literally still got absolutely nowhere with the GTA story. Like I still haven't met Trevor, so
The GTA story is fine, honestly, but I think Red Dead's just so much more.
Well, because the characters are like way more like, because like with GTA when it ends, when you fucking have to either kill Michael or Trevor or kill everyone else, I feel no impact whether or not I killed either of them. I prefer Michael over Trevor, so I usually kill Trevor and take his money. With Arthur, I didn't realize at the time. I was genuinely, when playing that game, I was genuinely in denial over whether he was going to die. Like, it was so obvious, like, when we get to later points, like, oh, he's done for. I was genuinely in denial as a person.
yeah, because you're like, he's the protagonist, he'll pull through.
And then the game ends, and you're just looking at John, and you go, I don't want
Shit.
you.
You're like, fuck off, John.
Get out of here.
So
You greedy fuck. You already had one.
as a big Twitter post once said, most of the game is spent wanting to be John, until the second half of the game is not wanting to leave Arthur.
Yeah, I mean, I've read all the stories and I've read all the stuff, but I just can't bring myself to just continue the story without.
Have you ever played the prologue? Or is it the epilogue?
yeah.
Is the epilogue after?
Well, no, I'm at like part.
Have you ever played the John bit even?
What part do you mean?
Like when you're John. Like, have you ever played as John in the game?
I honestly couldn't tell you.
You've never you've never
to
finished
reach
it,
the
have you?
end to do it.
Okay,
Yeah,
you've never
I
finished
haven't
it ever.
finished the game.
Oh, okay.
Have you
Dude.
been to the island?
Why not?
Before the island, I'm at Shady Bells, if I remember.
Oh, okay.
Dude.
That's such a good chapter, man. I love that chapter.
Oh, Shady Bell's great, Craig. But I personally think the John section of the game is not just because it's John, because I have no nostalgia for John, because I've never played the original Red Dead.
Whoa.
And I don't have much nostalgia for the character. I think it's really, really well done because the entire game, because the way it works is that, the way I view it is, you start the game and you start in the Heartlands, which is this massive wide open space, and gradually, like, it just seems like everything gets narrower. Like you go to roads, you're in a bit of a smaller camp, then you're in these tiny little roads, then you're in this tiny little swamp, and then you're in a house. And and then at the end, you feel like you're just suffocating with all the tension in camp. Like, you don't even want to be in camp anymore. And everything's gearing up. Arthur looks sick all the time. You can never ignore how bad Arthur looks, because he's always looks sick. And then suddenly you're back at the start of the game, almost, because you're just in these massive open fields. And nothing's actively pursuing you. And I think the whole John epilogue is just meant to be a collective intake of air, because you've just been exhaling the whole time. And I think it's really, really good because of that.
It does just give you a really lovely insight into kind of life at that period as well. It's just a very chill experience. I honestly felt like I was playing Farming Simulator at one point, and as a boy from the West Country, that was everything I could have possibly dreamed for. So
it's fun to play the farmer.
Yo, I love farming. Leave me alone.
If they had ranches to Red Dead Online, bro, we're just gonna become ranchers.
Literally, if I could just be a fucking rancher, make some money, fucking tip some cows and shit, that'd be fine.
Eugene Slackjaw, rancher.
Eugene Slackjaw. Okay.
It started with the farm. It was going well until the apocalypse.
Yeah, no, it's just...
Grain never changes.
That explains how Vinny landed on his feet, man. His father had taught him how to sow seeds.
His father in 1859 had taught him how to sow seeds, so he was ready for the apocalypse in 200 years.
Yeah, man.
I mean,
He was
with that,
cryogenically frozen.
what is he, Captain America now?
Why not?
So,
You're gonna tell me they wasted all that expensive technology on one man? Shut up. That's
Was-
not true. Walt Disney was there too. Why doesn't he make an appearance in the MCU?
it's
That's what I
actually
wanna
just
know.
his head. Thank you. Isn't it just his head? I spelled that's the entire story.
No, I just don't understand why Disney buying fucking Marvel and shit hasn't ended up in fucking, I don't know, Walt Disney just coming out of fucking carbon freezing at some point in the films and just being the ultimate power and just killing everyone.
You hear
Instead
that,
of
Disney?
Thanos,
We're on to
fucking-
you, motherfucker.
Yeah, Scarlet Witch can 1v1 Thanos. Very cool. Walt Disney just karate chops everyone, man. He just fucking, he
It's
throws
such a
some
weird
shapes.
thing that they feel like they need to validate characters by claiming they could beat Thanos.
Well, I mean, Thanos isn't all powerful.
It both
by-
it both devalues Thanos and just adds nothing to the character because she'll never be able to prove that.
If I'm hoping it's just a throwaway statement, because if they actually try to suggest that in the upcoming film, I mean, I'm someone who has no particular attachment to the MCU at all, but from the outside perspective, everything was leading up to that. Everything in the MCU, all the spin-off films, everything was leading up to that moment. And if you're going to say, oh, there's this character that could nullify all of that progress made through all of those countless films,
Well,
it's like, all right,
there's
cool.
plenty that could do that.
I think Wanda could definitely have killed Thanos, but I think
It doesn't add anything. She could kill many people.
there's also a reason why fucking Doctor Strange had to spend the whole fight holding back water because he could also just fucking
Yeah, you could literally just go back in time, stab him in the back.
yeah, like lock him in a time loop. They had to basically take, and I think Wanda might have killed Thanos, but the army still would have been there, and they would have just destroyed everything. So I think the actual ending is still valid, even if you had the thought that Wanda could have beat Thanos. I think it still works.
It just takes everything away from Thanos. Like, yeah, sure, she could kill him, but well, she didn't.
No, I
Or
just feel
can-
like the sentiment of the statement was kind of just like, yeah, this character's better than everyone, and I just really got under my skin, even as someone who doesn't watch any of the Marvel films. I was just like, oh, come on, man.
I mean, it's true to life because Scarlet Witch is fucking absolutely
Yeah.
crazy in the comics, and she's
she's
top tier reality warper. Like, I'm not going to get big in the comics. I know I go off on massive tangents, but one time she said no more mutants, and then they all went away
yeah.
because she got sad.
I just show don't tell. That's it. That's all I have
I mean,
to
they
say.
did kind of show where she fucked him up a little bit. He was like, bomb me. I believe
If
that's
you
what
have
happened.
to tell your
I
audience
don't
that the character's
remember that
powerful,
happening, but okay. I don't remember Thanos going.
if you have to take to fucking
Bomb me.
Twitter or something to try and validate a point, it means you didn't show it in your storytelling.
Well, to sort of bring that back to something we all know, like certain people like Anton, like people who've made games and are like, could this person do this? Could this person do that? It's personal opinion in the end, I suppose. Like, I've not actually looked into the story of the Scarlet Witch, like the tweet or whatever it was, or like whoever said it.
Kevin Feige just said offhand, yeah, she could have killed Thanos.
I mean, a
Yeah, but-
great example of that rule, in my opinion, is Game of Thrones. Who's the best swordsman in Game of Thrones?
Well, there's like 9, so it doesn't
Not
matter.
Jaime Lannister, because he spends the whole time getting proved he isn't.
That's what's so good about Game of Thrones, that everyone has like
can we do a
different
Game of
opinion.
Thrones podcast,
Should we
dude?
just do a Game of Thrones themed podcast?
We could fucking-
We can get George R.R. Martin on.
It just feels
Fuck
like
your
every
topics,
single
Qrow. Let's do this.
feels like every single fucking chapter there's like a different person who mentions a different person as the best, because that's true to life, right? There wouldn't
Everyone
just be
would
a
know a
best.
greatest swordsman.
Well, yeah, the world isn't top trumps.
Yeah,
One person
Everyone-
doesn't automatically best the other.
one person has seen someone in combat and seen that's the best person I've ever seen. Someone else sees somebody else in combat and goes, that's the best person I've ever seen. And it's like, doesn't mean that like this person's better. It's just like these are some of the best that people have ever witnessed, and they're never gonna have some sort of Royal Rumble where they decide all
Also,
of these people are
they
gonna come
never
together.
really decisively, because whenever there's two Brienne fights which are decisive like this. Like when she fights the Hound has a neck infection. He's dying of a neck infection at the time, and this probably isn't a factor for you guys, but he was mid shit, so I imagine he was pretty uncomfortable.
I
So
have
and he
I
loses that
have
fight.
I have been mid in some situations, and I can say that I was not performing at my best
Yeah, he
afterwards.
had to pinch that, and then she fights Jamie when he's fucking 8 months into being, not fed properly and bathed in his own shit. So I feel like they go out of their way to always be like, there's never going to be a sword fight where both parties are 100%. Brianna Tarrant's a great swordswoman, probably top three, but every significant fight she won that people use to like point to her skill, there's like obvious reasons why a person wasn't at their best. Um, and I think that's what makes it better though.
Well, yeah, because it opens up debate, and you can actually
Mm.
discuss about it rather than just be like, well, yeah, this person beat this person, so they're better.
Yeah, like whether Ned would have beat Jamie or something.
It's a big one. And it leads you to have all these fucking Game of Thrones shit tier list.
I mean,
The
decisively,
right.
Arthur Dane was probably top tier.
Well, that's what everyone says. No one. The Ned versus like Jamie fight. That's not really a thing of who's the better swordsman. Really, it's more of Jamie trying to say, "Oh, I'm not just the Kingslayer. I'm I'm like a good fighter. I can actually fight. I can do this. I can do that." But I don't think anyone would ever
He punched
claim.
that guard for disrespecting the 1v1, remember?
Yeah. Yeah, as he should. As he should. Good Battlefront 2
Ayo,
etiquette
good
from my
Battlefront 2
man.
etiquette. For you guys, I know we play a lot of Battlefront 2. Me and Will specifically constantly do Hero Showdown where we get very enraged when people don't respect the 1v1.
We're men of chivalry. We're men of honor. We expect people to come to us with the same level of respect that we show them. Rarely happens.
Yeah.
So there's sometimes when it does happen that we are then beaten, and then
Trounced.
we're equally as enraged as. So really, the only way to please us is to both play by our rules and let us win.
Let us win. You that Misfit Mafia? Hey,
Whoa!
we haven't talked
Hey,
about the Misfit Mafia on this
no
podcast.
call,
Well,
no.
that's because only one person is really angry about.
I'm gonna beat the shit. Yeah, Will's enraged by them. I'm less.
I'm the one trying to hold him back, man. No, that's fucking.
Hey, yo, fuck you, Misfit Mafia. Anyways, yeah, Game of Thrones and whatnot. Fucking, I do love that though. Like, I love having the discussions about who's what. I think People think I'm a bit weird for this. I think John's probably, excluding Arthur Dane because he's dead.
Well,
I would say John would be nearly better than most. You know,
as someone who doesn't like John as much, I would say no because he doesn't really have the training.
When does he? He never shows it though. The only fights
He fights untrained wildlings.
he fights White Walkers who are hundreds of years old and have
Right, but
superpowers.
right. For the record, he only wins that because of Valyrian steel sword. If Jorah Mormont,
Well, that's not very
Jorah
fair though,
Mormont-
because if he hits someone with a sword the way he hits those guys, he would kill a normal person too.
Well, yes, but the only reason he wins is because the sword doesn't get cut in half when the White Walker
Yeah,
attacks.
but that doesn't mean he's not a good swordsman.
Yeah,
What if he was a real swordsman? Would he
No,
materialize one?
but what he's saying is that no one else had that opportunity.
Yeah, no one
Like
had
other
the
people,
opportunity.
you can't measure it against other people.
I'm
because-
saying it's a good feat though, because they're nothing
No,
to
but we
sneeze
have-
at.
Right, and the
we
same
have-
thing.
but
Can
we
I say
have
that
no-
Sam is a good swordsman?
We have no evidence that they're even good fighters because we only have the
Sam used a
transfer-
knife.
No, but we don't see the White Walkers fight anyone else, so we don't
Yeah,
know
the White
how good
Walkers
they
will
are.
just like how are they a good swordsman? How are they like the pinnacle?
And it's not to say John also has extreme plot armor because they act like super OP around everyone else, and then they slowly walk towards John
Yeah,
in
this-
every
this-
single
this-
scene.
Yeah. There's also that thing
Like-
where they attack the what do you call it? Not the White Walkers, the Wildlings. What's the
Wall?
place? the wall you built, but where the Night Watch chill, where
Castle
they all
Dark.
attack that, and he just jumps out the fucking elevator and kills like 5 people.
I mean, right, for the record, see if you swapped Theon and the Night King fight for John would have won. Even if they'd done the exact same thing, John would have somehow found a way to win that fight. But
What?
no.
What Theon fight?
Remember when Theon charges the Night King? And
Like when he died, when they're like,
yeah,
"You're
when
a
he
good
dies.
man." And
You're a
all
good
that.
Oh,
man,
yeah.
Theon. If they replaced Theon with
Yeah,
John,
Branch
John
manipulates him into dying. Branch like, die for me, king.
Yeah, people are like arguably actually like people like try to make it like fine.
Bran just
like,
looks at him and just goes, "GG easy, man."
Bran's like,
GG
no,
Dickless,
Bran,
go get
Bran
him.
didn't do that, and he would not have killed him. It's like,
I read the books. I don't know if this happened in the show, but there's a whole chapter where Theon is just so horny for this girl, and then she's like, "By the way, I'm your sister."
Oh yeah,
oh,
you
no,
see that?
yeah,
She touched his boob and everything. You
Yeah,
watch
he,
it.
like-
Oh,
they're like
Jesus.
riding a horse back to the castle, and like
For
No,
some
like
reason
Theon
she decides
viscerally
not to
talks about
mention
his
it.
erection.
yeah. For some reason, she doesn't go. Yeah, by the way, I'm actually your sister.
Some
Why
reason
are you
she
trying to
waits
finger me in
until
the
after
horse?
to be like,
She's
yeah.
a lesbian, isn't she?
Yeah,
Yes.
but that does what?
I was
That
just saying.
that doesn't make it okay. What?
It's just the
I
fact
thought she was Valyrian.
What?
if I was Theon in that instance when they tried to like make you look like an idiot and be like, "Ha ha, I'm actually your sister. You look dumb now." I'd just be like, "Yeah, well, I got the second base, so he's the real loser here, man."
Yeah.
This is such a horrid part.
Like in Batman, where she's like, "Aha, I betrayed you." He's like, "Yeah, but I totally slammed you big style."
It's such a weird thing to turn around. Like, yeah, I'm your sister. By the
Yeah,
way.
that's Game of Thrones at its finest. Like, she's fucked in the head for sure.
Now, Game of Thrones at its finest is when they go try to rescue Theon and fucking Ramsay runs out with 2 knives.
Oh, he's
Yeah.
Chad though.
And he kills 9 people.
Now, I think we can all be in agreement. Ser Barristan Selmy.
Ser Barristan Selmy, best swordsman of the Game of Thrones.
Big
universe.
Chad
Shut the
energy.
fuck
And the funny thing is, he has like maybe 1 feat of sword fighting, but we all just love him so much we'll excuse it.
up. Well, no, it's
I
like because
think-
he's from the time of Arthur Dane and like, you know, he's sort like I can't remember like off the top of my head if he trained him or not.
See, in my opinion, he's an overpowered character done right, in that you spend most of, I know this is kind of going against what I said earlier about show don't tell, but you spend a lot of the story and a lot of the books hearing about his impressive feats and all this, but you never actually see much of him, and he's actually, as a combatant, he's introduced very late. It's not really until he decides to join, Daenerys and all
Yeah.
that.
And even then, you should get like a scene of him killing people in a hallway. Like,
even
not
then-
above average.
So good. Like,
It's-
like everyone bigs him up as well. Like Jamie says,
Yeah.
he was a painter who only used red. And then the scene where like he's like quitting the Knights Guard, the King's Guard.
But it makes you build up this image of this character in your head before you've even really seen him.
My point is, you guys said John wasn't shit. John technically has more feats than Barristan Selmy.
Well, if you look at the prequel books,
Yeah, if you're looking at the fucking show itself, then yeah, okay, I guess.
well, I mean, in the
that's
books,
what
he
I
is
was
also like a 14-year-old kid. So there's that
Yeah,
as well.
I think it's one thing I do like, and this is kind of, I don't know if this is considered non-cool to say. I hate it when 5'2" women win fights against 6'2" dudes. And I think that's why I like Brienne so much, because she's like fucking tall and she's strong. And it doesn't, and even Arya doesn't win fights by being able to fucking deflect a sword blow, because she
Well, yeah,
knows
she-
she can't do that.
She beats it at skill and like knowledge and being able to like.
Mechanic.
She just walks around it, doesn't she? Really?
Yeah, pretty, like
Yeah.
she is basically just she knows how to like move and she knows how to like sort of lure her opponent into a bad position. But even
All
then,
I'm
they
saying
obviously
is that
draw.
in that scene where fucking Arya comes to Brienne after training Pod was using the wrong sword. That's why he lost. We all know what sword he should have been using,
he should have been
because
using
that man
flute.
is a gifted swordsman.
Podrick.
Yeah.
Pog, what a boy.
Oh shit,
Yeah,
John,
Pog.
fucking the half hand. Remember him?
Well, yeah, he kills the half hand because the half hand lets him.
Well, no, I don't
Wait.
think he necessarily lets him.
No, yeah, he realizes that if
But
John
even
dies,
if you're
then
looking at the books,
what?
John is 15 and he manages to hold his own against and apparently George R. R. Martin said he's one of the best. I think that's kind of
Yeah,
impressive. That at
it's
15 he was
impressive,
able
but
to
at the
hold
same
them
time,
back.
yeah. But the thing is, he always used his right hand. Like before, but that's why he was such a good sword. Like he lost all the fingers on his right hand from a wildling attack, if I remember. Don't quote me on that. I don't fully remember. That's why he uses his left hand, and he's a worse swordsman.
John just wins all fights because he brings Ghost.
Yeah, he wins all fights because he's like, yeah. By the way, I'm a
By the way, I
good
have a dire
Ghost.
wolf.
On you go.
Is it okay if I bring my dog?
Doesn't care. All of John's stuff is just based on clout. That's his main superpower, acquiring clout. Like that's genuinely his biggest character trait, clout collector.
Him walking into Winterfell, he just plays the mission past music from GTA.
Oh right, sorry. To go back to what I was saying, because I've just looked at the wiki. Corin, he was really good with his right hand, but then because of the injury with his right hand, he started to get as good with his left hand. But
Why did Jamie do that?
because James, well, he did. Remember, he tried to use his
did.
left hand, and he
Oh,
got.
he's still a bit shit, don't he?
Well, yeah, he was still a bit shit because it was his first time. It was like he started going up against Braun with his left hand, but he never really trained.
Oh,
his left hand.
Braun
Braun
best
is
swordsman.
he's a really
Braun
good swordsman.
greatest fighter.
Absolutely best.
He's only a
boy.
good swordsman because he's 30, but it's also just some of the funnest fights I've seen.
Doesn't hold the chivalry.
Yeah, like remember when
Yeah,
he
I
goes to
wouldn't
meet
want to face
Cersei?
him in Star Wars Battlefront 2, is all I'm
Oh,
saying.
yeah.
Bro,
Yeah, if he went up
would
against
not
him, he would
subscribe
get
to
the
movie
points
one.
in.
That's
He
me
would not
playing
respect-
Yoda and you play fucking Chewie. You're Braun in that scenario and I'm fucking Tyrion.
But Game of Thrones.
I need a warrior, a champion.
Well, fight for me. Make the Wookiee fly!
Mummy!
Fucking kicks him off the map. That kid was
But yeah.
creepy. Wasn't he fully grown at the end when
Yeah,
Oh
looks
yeah,
kinda
he
kinda
came,
big
he came
chillin'.
back as like.
would have been great if he was just drinking a glass of milk.
Like they
He's
stored
just
our
still on
milk.
his mum's lap. Like,
Had a thermos. You got soup? No.
Nah, milk, bro.
Nah, milk. Oh, bro. What kind? Breast.
Titty milk, bro. Yeah, but
I'm getting
Game of
my
Thrones is
nutrients.
So good, man. I just love it.
getting my sups in. Leave me alone.
And then fucking the Viper.
The
Pedro,
Viper.
he, him, Pascal.
The boy himself, I love
My
him.
main man.
There is
Yeah,
no
I-
man in
Unfair,
this world that
however.
I love more.
I just do love how, the way it's taken into account, to go back to what I said earlier, the way, just the way people's fighting styles are thought out. Because, Ser Barristan Selmy probably would have lost most of the swordsmen we've seen, because he was how old was he? He looked about what? To be, if we were really generous,
By
For-
the shows, he's pretty old. Yeah.
he would not have the strength to block a blow properly from a young, strong guy, even if he had decades of experience. And I think that's both one of the reasons why we see him never fight, because the show wouldn't want to break its own immersion by telling us this really old dude can match the strength of a strong guy in his 20s or 30s.
It's half that, and it's half the fact that he wouldn't.
Keep the legend alive. That too.
Why would Barristan fight with these people?
Yeah,
Because he knows
exactly.
that as well. As a character, he's like, I don't want to fucking fight with these young people.
Even now, I could cut through your wall like carving a cake.
Well, yeah, it's like you have to look at that situation and go, do you think he was actually planning to? Because I don't think he would. I mean, yeah, you can make the comment about, oh yeah, even the Hound reached for his sword, but it's like, yeah, but
The Hound's a
Barristan-
dick. He'd kill anyone.
but Barristan's
Well,
not
yeah,
actually
yeah.
gonna fucking.
A fucking chef
up
could
the
stairs.
draw a spoon, and the Hound would have fucking
In the
drawn out
book,
the
in the
sword.
books, it describes Barristan. It says that even despite his advanced age, he still looks strong and graceful and every bit the skilled knight he was in his youth.
Sure, you
Yeah,
would
I
do.
can
Yeah.
get it in the books. In the books, it makes sense, but in the show, less so, because obviously it doesn't really make sense.
Well, sure, in the books, the mountain's 8 feet tall.
Yeah, I mean, he was also.
And a mass rapist.
I think he was 23 when he got put into the King's Guard, Barristan. So,
Yeah.
you know.
Sheesh. What's your
Just-
favorite Kingsguard armor?
Oh, my favorite King's Guard. Oh, do you mean the armor or just what?
Yeah, like the look of the armor.
I'll be honest, Robert.
Robles?
With the gold.
Yeah.
I'm,
It just looks
I'm-
good, doesn't it?
I'm more of a fan of Cersei's with the red.
Celsius?
With the Lannister red. No, that's the Mountain's armor for the most part.
No,
but for like,
do you mean the
They've
King's
got-
Guard? The King's Guard that Cersei has
Yeah.
with black?
they have like the red and the Lannisters, huh?
No. It's only Jaime that wears the red armor.
Is it? Let me look up.
Yeah.
Oh, you're right.
But the black does look sick.
The Mountain did have drip.
It's
He
too.
did have-
I don't like it. It's too like we're the bad guys.
I can't believe
I like, yeah, it does. They literally are just like stormtroopers.
I like the King's Guard, Aegon's King's Guard. Like the Targaryen ones. That's like, I think they have. I'm pretty sure they have a cape if I remember right. They have the white capes, and with the Targaryen armor.
I like how the initial like Rob's Kingsguard is like actual armor, like it's emblazoned armor, but it's like actual armor, and then like the armor by the end of the show is obviously like modern takes on medieval armor,
Yeah.
where they like improve a lot of the flaws with the plating and stuff. Whereas the Kingsguard armor looks nice, but if you really squint at it, you can see that it's just they wear like a thick like scarf or whatever with a fat ass chest plate, shoulder bits, and weird chain mail on the arms, and that's it. They're not actually that super well armored, and I like that.
Honestly, all of the King's Guard armors are just pretty good looking.
Did Barristan Selmy's sword have a name?
Barristan Selmy sword? Nah, I don't think it did because he didn't have a Valyrian steel one.
Oh, only the Valyrian steel ones get named.
Most, they're probably right. Obviously, don't take me as like gospel, but like all of the Valyrian steel ones have names that are mentioned mostly.
Why
But
should
the
never a
regular
dragon
ones-
glass sword? I never saw a dragon glass sword.
Don't think
Just
there was ever
knives.
really. Well, there was knives, spears, and
Also, holy shit, we really just look at the timer, man. We've spent
You have the timer because you're hosting.
yeah, I don't have
Oh,
a timer.
we're-
I was
we're-
actually getting
we're at 55
yeah.
minutes.
right. Okay, keep going. Not gonna lie, I didn't know we were recording for a second. I looked at the record button; it wasn't.
Crow's about to say a
But we
slur.
We are recording.
And this
but
is
yeah,
why I hate the Indians.
But we did. We had the dragon glass spearheads, we had the arrowheads, and then we had the knives.
There's not going to be many shorts made out of this episode.
yeah. I mean,
Oh god.
this is what happens when you let me pick.
All right, hold on. Well, we cut it. We just dive straight into the paranormal stuff and end it on that
Paranormal stuff. Yeah.
because you have the
I mean,
scary stories.
I feel like there's not many. Like, yeah. Okay.
Do you have,
Like,
do you have one
yeah,
good one?
We could do the Cecil Hotel one. That's pretty.
As long as it's like a
topical.
ghost story and it's not just like, and no one saw her again.
Right, that's the vanishing one. I was about to say she just vanished. Because, well, she reappears, but she...
I didn't mean like I meant like an actual like scary ghost story. I didn't mean like just
Scary
like
ghost story?
an instance where people are like, what happened?
Did
Well,
you
she-
guys ever like tell ghost stories as kids? Do you ever
I'm
have,
Irish,
like-
so yeah, Irish and Catholic, of course we did.
Yeah.
It's all we
Well,
have.
You ever have like a stereotypical around the campfire kind of?
Yeah, my
Never.
granddad told me a story about a banshee when I was younger.
I've only been camping, like, a few times, so, like... I think I've only
He-
been once, actually.
He was a right bastard for telling ghost stories to my granddad because he's old Irish, so he used to be a bus driver, and he would drive to the street, and no one really lived on the street, and people didn't like to go to the street because it was well known a banshee lived there.
I think I've heard you told this story before.
And basically, the whole deal with banshees are they're quite tough creatures, but if they see you, they're quite often doing something. This banshee in particular was always combing her hair, and if she saw you, she would either throw her comb and it would go through your chest, and if it did, you wouldn't wake up in the morning, or she would ignore you. And look for my granddad. She saw him on his bus drive and promptly ignored him. And I remember when I was a kid, I was like, that's no biggie.
Well, I'm going to be
is-
honest. How's she going to throw that comb through his chest when he's driving?
Because she's a
past?
ghost. He was a
Fucking
bus
drive-by
stop
or
at the
some
bus stop.
shit.
What is a banshee?
A banshee is
It
just like a
depends.
ghostly
Well,
woman.
'cause it's like an Irish thing. Okay, so it's like a.
It's like basically like a woman scorned in death, like a specific kind of like woman ghost who has some kind of grievance and died some way. More detail is like remembered because obviously he told it to me when I was like fucking 10. She would sit on a carriage that had no horse, and I think the story was that she was robbed or whatever on the carriage, and they killed the horses, and while she was combing her hair, they killed her. That's the general story, and she was really upset, so she became as a ghost. And my granddad, being the bastard he was, when I went into my tent that night, I woke up in the morning, opened my tent, and there was a comb outside. He put a fucking comb outside my tent to scare me,
Oh, that's so
and
horrid.
I looked at that and I went, "Why'd he put that there?"
Casual as you like. Why did you
Yeah.
do that?
Yeah. And I just went up with a hand to
Is
him. I
he
was like, "You
fucked
dropped
in the
your
head?"
comb." And he was like, "Oh, it was the banshee, Joe." And I went, "No."
Yeah, banshees are.
It was you, Joe.
folklore. Like they are like obviously in multiple parts of the world because
Sure, we've got the fae, we've got, all the types of the leprechauns.
Scotland's got quite a few as well. Honestly, it's like Selkies and like
Yeah,
all that type of shit.
because you're a bunch of derivative bastards.
Because we're cool as fuck.
I feel like you guys, like, when I say you guys, if you guys are Scotland and Ireland.
Catholics. You could say Catholics.
Catholic. You guys are far more superstitious than, like.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Well, because you guys had God a lot longer than we did. We were,
Yeah,
the Welsh as well.
we-
They've got quite a few.
We
things.
invented God before you.
we were
guys.
pagan for a long time after you had found Christ. Like a lot of Irish saints were just fairies or other things that were just kind of Christianized. So like fucking like there's plenty of others like fucking like most of like Lou, who's Cú Chulain's father. He was King Fairy, fucking Fairy of War. He was like reimagined as like a saint or whatever. When Christians would come over, they couldn't go, "You're all fucking wrong." They'd instead go, "These
Yeah.
things you believe are gods are actually just saints who are lesser versions of the one true God." That's how they would acclimate people to Christianity. They wouldn't just be like, "You're wrong,"
Like,
because
I
they
mean-
get fucking stabbed.
A lot of the like Scottish ones are pretty. I mean, obviously this is coming from me who is Scottish, so I can't go. Yeah, they're pretty cool.
I love Irish myths, man. There's like a lot of them are so fun. Like a lot of them, like Fionn McCumhale, who's our version of King Arthur, or Cuchulainn, who's our version of Hercules.
Cuchulainn.
Cuchulainn, but like Fion's the reason why the Giant's Causeway is there, because will I just start telling Irish myths?
Yeah, come on.
All right, so Qrow, you like this. So there is a giant in Scotland, and Fionn, he was a mortal man, but he was still quite large because he was Fionn. He was a bit of a badass. They would literally scream at each other from across the ocean, "Hey, you fucking twat! You fucking knobhead!" And one day, the Scottish giant said, "I'm not gonna have a fucking talk with him." So he built.
Come here, lad.
He got all these stones and started building a bridge to Ireland, made by him. And Fionn saw him coming, and then realised that perspective is a bit of a bitch because he's actually quite large. And he said, "Oh bollocks! I better think of something. So he
He's
went back
coming.
to his home. He went back to his home and he said to his wife, "There's a very big lad coming to beat this shit out of me. What should I do?" And so the giant builds his way across, and he goes to Fion's house. And he knocks on the door, and his wife answers, "Hi, Fion's not here right now. Would you like a cup of tea?" So he comes in, and he sees a cot. He goes, "Fiona, have a baby?" He goes, "Yeah, have a look at the baby." And in the fucking cot is Fionn dressed as a baby, looking at him. And the giant goes internally, "If that's the fucking size of his baby, how fucking big is this cunt?" And he goes to do like a Gucci Gucci goo, and Fionn fucking bites him. and then his wife gives him a fucking boulder and says, "This is Fionn's normal lunch." And he goes, "Well, if Fionn has it, I'll have it." And he fucking breaks his teeth on the boulder.
Oh,
And at this stage, the giant's like, "This Fionn cunt must be hard.
He's
Must be a
big
hard
man,
lad."
this fucking Fionn, man.
And his wife goes, "Oh, I can hear him coming." And so the giant says, "Fuck," and runs.
He runs.
Runs back across his causeway and breaks it halfway so Fionn can't follow him. And that's how the giant's causeway was made.
I feel
Not
like
because
I
of
have
magma.
heard that before.
I feel like you could actually try it. Like they could have tried to make it way more epic. How such a thing was formed.
Yeah, like there
but-
was a battle on the causeway.
Well, the thing is, right? Most Irish heroes, like Cuchulainn's, like kind of a different, but most Irish myths don't revolve around violence because, fairies, our version of gods, were more tricksters and shit, or like they would rely on goodwill and they would give you a good turn in return, and like most stories with Fionn or the Fianna, like he was trained by two lesbians. He fucking he got a wife. It's hard for me to differentiate between Cuchulainn because Cuchulainn fucking killed a dog. I think that's his story. Yeah,
Isn't that
he killed a dog with a slither.
Yeah, yeah. No, sorry, right.
He killed
Yeah.
the Lord's Hound, and because he killed the Lord's Hound, he said, "You're going to be my fucking guard dog," and he was given the name Cuchulainn, which means Hound of Culane, which is why he's not called that.
You guys are like the antagonists to the Greeks.
I was thinking of
Literally.
fucking the Child of Light. I think.
I mean, I'll talk shit on myths any day. Like, I firmly believe Cuchulainn could beat the shit out of Hercules.
But it just becomes a case of my OC's cooler than your OC.
My OC actually has 9 lives.
Cuchulainn literally turned into the fucking Hulk and would slaughter armies.
I think Marvel should get on that one then.
He would get. I love this just because I think it's really funny. But to calm him down, they would get women to reveal their breasts so he would get embarrassed. And while he was distracted, they'd push him in a barrel of water, of which they had to do 3 times because he was so angrily hot, the water would evaporate.
What the fuck?
So he fell for it 3 times in a row.
It's a lot of boobs.
That is a lot of boobs.
I mean, that's fair. Do you think you could fall for that 3 times?
Yes.
I feel like it's
I'd fall for it, in quotation marks. Oh, I'm still mad. You guys gotta show me more.
Guys, come on.
I'm steaming, boys.
You are despicable.
Dave, get your sister, bro.
I think a lot of like not Scotland, like a lot of English myths revolve around like obviously like
King
dragons
Arthur.
and sort of like a lot of war, like a lot
English
of
myth is
fighting.
really fascinating though, because it's so heavily Christianized. Like King Arthur
Yeah.
was a pagan myth before the Christians came.
Mhm.
Fucking Merlin was a fucking was
Was a
changed to be a
wizard.
demon.
Yeah.
Well, they massively kind of radicalized a lot of culture. Is because it's the same as how the Romans tried.
With the
England hitting itself with its own friendly fire by ruining its own culture.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of interesting to kind of weaponize culture like they did, and in their attempts to kind of try and spin Christian values onto all the stories that different
Didn't
tribes
originally
and
have
chiefs that like told each other. I don't know, it's kind of cool, but like a lot of English folklore is actually, or a lot of like the well-known English folklore comes a lot later. Like kind of Robin Hood, King Arthur.
Yeah. Because yours isn't as based in like magic and fairies like ours is. Ours was like based on like old stories of primordial forces and druids. We had druids. You guys didn't have shit.
We we had druids like way back when, because like that's we had certain pagan sects that are responsible for things like Stonehenge and whatnot. Fuck knows why that exists or what they thought they were doing with it, but they certainly had plans, and you've got to respect that they were clearly putting that up with purpose, and they believed in something.
I'm just saying, King Arthur got made a cook by Lancelot banging his wife.
Yeah, that's true.
You'll never catch Fionn McCormail getting made a cook.
Yeah, but then you have to do like a mythical wives tier list.
He also died like a bitch. I mean, he died. I mean, most Hercules died because they poisoned his ass, didn't they? And it didn't really work.
I don't actually remember. I'm not big on my Hercules stuff.
I'll tell you how fucking Cuchulainn dies, because it's the most nuts shit ever. It's so fucking metal, it might as well be out of an anime. So a few days before a battle, an old woman who's a wizard or whatever, one of his enemies disguised, offered him dog meat to eat. And this was a bad thing because there was a very big rule about turning down hospitality, and there was a very, very big taboo against eating dog meat. So he was in a very tough spot. So he ate the dog meat, so he was spiritually weakened either way. So then he went to battle. Then what happened is they killed his chariot. They killed like the horse that pulled his chariot, and they stabbed him with magic spears. Cuchulainn said, "Fuck you guys, I'm not dying on the ground like a bitch." Dragged himself up, and then with a chain tied himself to a rock so he could die standing. And for 3 days, an entire army was too afraid to go up to him to see if he was dead. And then the guy who did cut off his head, and when he did, a laser beam shot out of his neck stump and struck the man's hand off.
Interesting.
Jeez.
That is... Yeah, I guess.
And then he died.
That's how I want to go. Just quick.
Get
final
shot by
light
some
show.
guys.
Neck stump beam.
Next stump beam. That'll be my Hero Academia power, I think. It's like I have a power. There's one problem. You have to decapitate me.
My quirk is I have the most badass death possible. Downside, I have to die.
It's like the final battle, and he's like having this moment where he's like, "Everyone believes in me. I have to do it. I have to show them what I'm capable of." He just fucking twists his neck around.
So many interesting folklore creatures that have come out of Scotland and stuff. Like, no, a lot of them are like shape shifting sort of things, like kelpies, and, like boobies, and like all that type of shit. It's just like I've never been like. There's not many that I've been told as like a kid and shit, but I know like a lot of people that I went to school with have had that stuff passed down from generations and stuff, and it's just so like always really fucking interesting. It's like I don't know, the UK in general just has a lot of good myths and a lot of good folk tales and stuff like that.
We like our oral tradition. Dudumch, put that on a t-shirt, but like. Hey. We do like a story. We like a story.
We love a wee story.
Shame that it's probably because reality never quite lives up to our fucking dreams.
Usually that's what it is, isn't it? It's like something that is probably back in the day really easy to explain, but through like a mad game of whispers, it eventually turns into something like no, it was actually the Loch Ness monster.
Like how the fucking
like
the Minotaur and the Labyrinth was made up exclusively to explain earthquakes.
Yeah, like stuff like that. Like
it's like, okay, we get it. There's like, if you wanted to make up earthquakes, why the fuck you gotta make up a labyrinth too? Like,
some guys just like, there's some rumbling under the ground. And someone else is like, maybe it's distant footsteps.
I bet there's a bull.
Maybe it's bulls. And someone else is like, maybe the bulls are the footsteps. Yeah, maybe the footsteps are underground. Yeah, maybe there's a bull just running around.
I bet he's in a maze.
Or it's like something dumb like, no, it was actually Atlas just moving.
I bet his ma fucked a cow. Who's this cunt making on the ground rumble? I don't know. I bet it's my shag the cow though.
However,
Dirty
That's
you
just,
get me.
bitch.
that's just a lot of Greek mythology as well. It's like weird things just
So
sort
who
of.
sticks his dick in something?
Yeah, that is just Greek mythology in a nutshell. It's like,
I love how the Romans looked at Greek mythology and were like, "Yeah, let's have that," and then
let's
read
just
it a
take
bit,
that.
and then read it a bit deeper and went, "You know what? Some of this we don't want.
Let's make it more war.
Yeah.
Let's make it more war and a bit more PC."
See, I was watching American Gods, which is fascinating because it
That's
has
very
like an
interesting.
interesting like way of like kind of being like, okay, so this is how
Making
this would
gods out of
function.
modern things.
Yeah, and also there's the leprechaun in it, and he's like fucking 6'4", and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
It's realistic, but
I love shows like
like
that. Right? I love myths and I love folklore and I love like all these different types of things. Like mythology is just really fucking cool. To watch.
mythology is great fun to talk about, especially when you have just like extremely weird mythology, like Irish or Celtic mythology in general doesn't follow the trend of most mythologies where every myth is about like a character or a hero and like there's a
Mm.
warrior. I mean, most of them are just kind of like they have the in common tale that most of them are tragedies, but
Yeah.
like a lot of them are just fucking like nutty shit happening with fairies. Like
I
most,
mean,
like even
yeah.
most of like Who Claims Their Film come out fucking things are not even about them murdering people. Like fucking Film McKenna's fucking most popular one is him being sat in a cot pretending to be a baby, and he's meant to be our King Arthur. That's like his whole
Yeah.
deal.
But it just shows you the difference in culture.
Yeah, we don't fucking give a shit. I
Yeah, it's like
was like, our
King
guy,
Arthur
our
was a
guy, our guy has a
king
magic
and like
sword. He's a wizard. It's like, are we
he pulled
fucking
the sword
dresses
out
as a
of stone
baby?
and stuff.
Our guy has an age regression kink. Our main
should
man.
should we like finish the podcast off with the pet peeves, weird pet peeves we don't like?
I mean, we're on an hour 14.
Hour 14? Well, we could go
Jesus.
to like 16 instead of like, or we could just finish it.
I don't really have, off the top of my head, I don't really have pet peeves. So, I
Pet peeve?
don't,
No, nothing that just pisses you off that someone does.
this guy Qrow really fucking gets on my nerves sometimes.
Yeah,
I hate-
honestly, there's this guy called Charlie. I don't know if anyone has heard of this guy Charlie. Really pisses me off, but what really grinds my gears is Vinny Slackjaw and his shitty faces.
Yo,
Listen,
quick tangent. Fuck Vinny Slackjaw and
I'm
everyone he
just saying,
loves.
if you guys ever make it to the apocalypse, you won't be getting discounts from me
We
unless
hate
you have
Vinny
honey.
Slackjaw.
Welcome to today's sponsor.
Welcome to
Shut up.
today's sponsor, Honey.
Welcome to today's sponsor, Vinny
Please,
Slackjaw's
honey,
Wonder
please.
Emporium.
I'll email
Slackjaw's
Honey after this,
Vault.
and I'll ask him to
Vinny's
sponsor
Vault.
us.
Do it. Should we just like, all tweet people until they fucking
Yeah.
follow us?
I mean,
I think
sure.
Yeah, I'm still gonna do my PewDiePie thing. I don't even care. I'm just gonna do I'll tweet
Did we
stupid
mention
shit
the-
posts with his name in them just every single day until he responds. Even if he says no, no's fine. If he's listening to this, if it ever starts annoying you, just reply no. You're done.
Give me my validation.
Just reply to me. That's all I want.
All right,
Please.
we're on an hour 16. I think it's time to finish it up. Say
Well,
your goodbyes, gang.
Should we finish off with saying thank you for the views and all the stuff on the video?
Oh yeah, go on then.
Fuck 'em. Why? Fuck
Go on, say your thanks.
Stop watching us. Go away.
This isn't
Please
for
keep
you.
watching. My kids need to be fed.
Once he gets
honestly-
kids, I mean.
Yeah, once I get my kids, they need to be fed. So, just honestly, thank you guys for the views and stuff, and the like, actually taking time out of your day to watch our shitty podcast and our amazing shots. Because, as we all know, Charlie's shower routine is something that people need to know about.
Everyone does need to be aware. I think both for safety reasons and for health concerns, which is kind of the same thing. But anyway, do check out our Twitter if you haven't already. Link will be in the description if I ever get around to posting this, because I hate my life and I hate editing.
Don't worry, you very little visual aids this episode, except for that one time where we went nuts with it. You really only have one thing to do.
Yeah, I can probably just fucking put a smell shit over you guys chatting about Game of Thrones and myths. So I'll talk over it. I'll edit myself. I'll I'll bring in another recording of myself talking over the top about something.
Just making perfect counter arguments with the advantage of hindsight.
I'll just pause you guys speak and go, well, actually, Charlie, I've just looked up 3 Wikipedia articles that disagree with your
That's not even a Cuchulainn myth, you idiot.
Hi all, Future Will again. In the middle of editing this, and I'm going to use this opportunity to chat shit about the other two while they can't respond. Just a quick reminder that Charlie thought that Cersei's Queensguard armour was red. It's actually black and silver. Everyone knows that. He's a dumb little bitch that knows nothing about Game of Thrones. Completely unrelated note, we're looking for a third podcast member to join the team, preferably from the British Isles, though not England and Scotland, we've already got those two covered. Get in touch! Anyways, I'll let you get back to them, I guess. I mean, I suppose you want to hear what they have to say, I don't know.
I'll be the people's voice. The
All right.
voice they want and need.
It's been a pleasure, gang.
Has been a very fun time.
See you next time. Maybe we'll figure out what the title is. Bye.